Hello students, this is Math 800 section 1.3. We're going to be practicing subtraction with integers. All right, so when you're subtracting with integers, the thing that you want to do is find the additive inverse of a number, which is really the opposite of a number, isn't it? So sorry about that. So the other thing is we're going to learn to subtract integers and determine if a given integer is a solution for a specified equation, just like we did when we were adding them. But now we're going to apply subtracting them. The opposite of an integer is called its additive inverse. That's a property you're going to need to know. But the opposite of an integer is called its additive inverse. And the sum of a number and its additive inverse is 0. So a plus its opposite, or a plus its additive inverse equals 0. So if I asked you to find the additive inverse or opposite of 3, you would say -3. And to check that you got it right, you would do 3 plus a -3. If it equals 0, you did it correctly. Find the opposite or additive inverse of a -7. Well, that would be a +7. And we could check that. And if they add up to 0, we got it correct. C, it says find the additive inverse or opposite of 0. So it's whatever I'm going to add to 0 that will make it equal 0. And of course, that's 0. 0 is also the additive identity. We love 0 for that. It's its own opposite. So here is the rule for subtracting with integers. You have any integer a and b, and they could be positive or negative. But if you take a and subtract b, the rule is, let's just rewrite that problem as an addition problem. And here's the rule. You change the sign to addition and write the opposite of the number. So here we had a minus b. Instead, we're going to change it to an addition problem and change the b to its opposite, which is a -b. So let's see that with some real numbers. Here I have a subtraction problem. I'm going to rewrite this as an addition problem. So I rewrite the first one, change my subtraction to addition, and write the opposite sign of a -4. Well, the opposite of a -4 is a +4. And now look, I have an addition problem with integers. I have a -1 plus 4. Well, I have more +4s than -1, so my answer is going to be a +3. Let's do the next one. Here I have a subtraction problem. So I will rewrite the first one, change this to addition, and write the opposite of a -5. So I rewrote the first, changed to addition, and wrote the opposite of a -5. So now I have a -1 plus a +5. Well, 5s have the most. I know I'm going to have a positive answer, and the difference between them is 4. Here's C. Same thing. Rewrite the first, change it to an addition problem, write the opposite of a -8. -1 plus a +8 is going to give me 7. 10. So I'm going to rewrite the first, change this to addition, and write the opposite of a -2. So I really have 10 plus a +2, which equals 12. So if you'll just follow that rule, anytime you have a subtraction problem, rewrite it as an addition problem by changing the second term. Here we go. -10 minus a -5. So I rewrite the first, change to addition, and write the opposite of a -5, which is a +5. Now I have a -10 plus a +5. Well, the 10s are going to win. We've got a negative here. That's larger in absolute value than the 5. So it will win by a -5. Here we have the same problem. We can rewrite this different. Sometimes it helps to see it like this. And now I know I have a subtraction problem. So I'm going to rewrite the first, change this to plus, and write the opposite of that. And so I really just have 43 plus 25. And I wrote right where they put that on the slide, didn't I? give me 68. Here's another one. I'm going to rewrite it. I'll do it over here a little bit more to the left. Negative 38 minus a positive 11. I'm going to rewrite that as a negative 38. Change that to addition and write the opposite of a positive 11. So a negative 38 plus a negative 11, they're the same sign, aren't they? So now we just go back to our addition rules. Negative 38 plus a negative 11 would be a negative 49. Here we can rewrite this one. So I rewrite the first term, change to addition, and write the opposite of a negative 32. So I really have a negative 73 plus 32, or let's just figure out what 73 minus 32 is, and we get 41, but I know that it's going to be a negative 41 because the negative is the larger absolute value. And 17 minus 69, if I want to rewrite that, that could be 17 plus a negative 69. Now, of course, if you're using the calculator, it's just super easy to punch these in, isn't it? But we're just trying to kind of understand the concepts here. And we get a negative 52. Notice that my absolute value of a negative 69 would be better than my absolute value of 17, bigger, so I'm going to have a negative in the end. Okay, so these are really important when we do these kind of problems, that we know how to interpret what they're saying, okay? So on a winter day, the temperature dropped from 35, so it was at 35. What does dropped suggest? It says to what? It's going to drop, yeah, at noon to 6 below 0. That's a negative 6. So it dropped to a negative 6. So we want to know the change in temperature. So we rewrite this, 35, change this to plus, and this to 6. And we're now going to get, it's 41 degrees. We're going to actually say negative. And actually, I want to do this different, sorry. Erase that from your head. When we're working with a starting point and an ending point, you usually begin at the ending point when you're like trying to find change in length or change in temperature. So I'm going to have a negative 6, right? Is where I ended up. I don't want to do that either. Let's see. End temperature minus beginning temperature. Yeah. So my ending temperature was a minus 6, and I'm going to minus my beginning temperature, which was 35. And if I do that, I rewrite this, I change this to plus, and I write the opposite of that, and it's a negative 35. A negative 6 plus a negative 35 is equal to a negative 41. So the change of temperature went down. This is how I know it's down, is that negative 41 degrees. Meaning it dropped 41 degrees. That's what that negative on the 41 suggests. So here I have this jet pilot. He's flying his airplane. Here's my wings. Almost looks like a shark, but it's really an airplane in the sky. Okay. And her plane flew her plane from an altitude of 3,000 feet. Here she is at 3,000 feet, or 30,000, to an altitude of 12,000 feet. And all of a sudden, she's now with her airplane. And yes, my artwork is fabulous. She is now at, yeah, that's better when I put the wing coming in like that. At 12,000 feet. So you can see that this dropped, didn't it? So it says what was the change in altitude. We know it's going to be a drop. So let's put where we ended, 12,000, ending, subtract our beginning. Well, that's really 12,000 plus the opposite of 30,000, which is a negative 30,000. And we're going to end up with a negative 18,000. It's really important that the ending value goes first and the beginning value goes second. Otherwise, you won't get the right sign suggesting that this dropped, okay? So it dropped 18,000 feet. That was the change in altitude, a negative altitude change. There we go. Sue weighed 130 pounds when she started her diet. The first week she lost 7 pounds. The second week she gained 2 pounds. And the third week she lost 5 pounds. So wants to know what was her weight. So we could just do this first problem because addition we'd work from subtraction, we work from left to right. 130 minus 7, we could rewrite that as 130 plus a negative 7, which is going to give us 123. And then plus 2, we can just keep that. That gives us what? 125. And then minus 5, we'll rewrite that as addition. And we end up with 120. Now, you could have taken your calculator, punched in 130, subtracted 7, added 2, and subtracted 5, and you would have ended up with 120. Did I do that right? 7, 123, plus 2, 125, minus 5, yeah. Why does that not feel right? But yeah, okay. 10 difference. She lost basically 10 pounds, didn't she? All right. Here we go. Now we are going to substitute 1 in place of wherever I see an X. So you're like a coach now. Coach, it's time to substitute player 1 in for player X. So 1 subtract a negative 5. Does that equal 6? Now remember, I'm just looking to see if it's true or false. I want to, see if it's a given number is a solution. I'm looking to see if it's a solution. If both sides of my equation are equal, then it is a solution. This can be written as 1 plus 5. And then I look at the 6. Does it equal 6? Yes, it's true. So 1 is a solution to that sentence. Here we go. 2 is being substituted into the game. So 5 minus, instead of y, it's a negative 2. Well, if I rewrite 5 to a plus and change that to its opposite sign, the 7 equals 7. Yes, true. Okay. Whenever you substitute a negative number, like I was substituting a negative 2 into here, it's best to go minus and then have the negative in a parentheses so you don't lose your negative, okay? Let's look at the z equals 10. Put it in there. Now, eventually, you guys are going to get where you don't have to rewrite the sentence into an addition sentence. And maybe some of you are already there. You already know how to handle adding and subtracting of integers. That's great. But until then, practice it that way. You'll be okay. So 10 is not a solution to this one. 10 minus 14 is a negative 4, and a negative 4 does not equal a negative 3. So in this case, you would say not a solution. Look for problems like that on the test where it says, is this a solution to this? You'll see that coming up. So take a moment, pause your computer, and see if you can do these. All right, now that you've had a moment to try those, what is the additive inverse of 85 or the opposite? Well, negative 85. Very good. Find the difference. So I'm going to rewrite this as a negative 6 plus a positive 5. And I can see when I go to battle, the negatives are going to win by 1. Here it says to simplify a negative 6. That's like saying a negative 6 plus a negative 4. That's a negative 10. And then I'm going to subtract a negative 2, but if I read that, negative 10 plus a positive 2, like it's going to give me a negative 8. Over here, true or false? A negative 5 plus a negative 3, well, I'm just going to say that's a negative 8, is less than a negative 5 minus a negative 3. Well, we need to rewrite this sign. What is a negative 5 plus 3? It's a negative 2, isn't it? Is a negative 8 less than a negative 2? Where does it fall on the number line? Here's 0. Here's a negative 2. And a negative 8's down here somewhere. So 8 is less than a negative 2. So yes, this is true. And finally, we're going to see if this is a solution. If x is 15, is it a solution to this equation right here? So I'm going to substitute my 15 into there. Well, 15 minus 1 is really just 14. Does 14 equal a negative 16? No, this is not a solution. All right. And there you can see the answers. Hopefully you have a great day with this and that things work out well in your homework section. Enjoy the day. Good luck and work hard.